when ChatGPT came out, my co-founder and I, who is actually sitting next to me, we were thinking if we could make a ChatGPT for scientists. And then we were thinking, how can we even go beyond it? We have been really working a lot behind the scene to think how to enable scientists and engineers not only to research with ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, do answer those problems, but also taking it to the next level in building new things, discovering new things, enabling that step. We thought, how can we make MirrorThink into a virtual lab? And taking the first steps to do so. That's why we renamed MirrorThink into Vicena, rebuilt it, reskinned it, and made a lot of stuff behind the scene, making it better. Here you see the Vicena. If you are used to any chat interface, you are familiar with that. But let me show you how it works. First of all, you can come to Vicena. There is no landing page. You just come to the chat interface. You can start working with it. Of course, you don't have access to the history, and some things we cannot save those histories if you're not logged in or you don't have an account. We have more generous limits, and we have much better AIs. You have different tools that you have access to, like literature review, prior art research, which is a patent review, web research, product researchers, chemical analyzers, thermomass, reaction energetics if you're a chemist. And not only that, you have new tools like protocol extractors, but also a lab simulator. I will show you. That's a very first attempt for us to simulate the lab or create a virtual lab. Let me just show you a few examples. Here you can do just a normal literature review as you used to do in any AI tools. You can look at the literatures, you can look at the prior art. I can select literature review and see what it does. It has extra behaviors that it creates a research area and tries to confine it and requirements of your research. But also it's much more snappy. And not only that, it is not limited to a certain number of searches. It does, if you give it an objective, it goes and finds that until it reaches that objective. It does continue working. You have the same thing you can do on not only literature, you can do the same thing on web research or prior art research, like patent research. But then you can do other things, right? You can ask it to give you how things are done. You have two ways to do it. Let me essentially show you that to you. Here, for example, I asked the web research. It can do the same behavior on the web and find articles on the web and go and write you the summary. There is another agent that it has, and in extracting protocols. Protocols are essentially recipes for doing things in science and engineering. You can say here, extract a protocol. Let me show you an example. How to extract the DNA of strawberries in a lab. I can ask this. You can ask this from ChatGPT and other tools like Claude or Gemini. But here it has a different behavior. So it's optimized for this type of work. Right? What it does sequentially try to step-by-step extract it. And you see, it writes step-by-step that it did the research on figuring out how to do the work and references to the work. There is yet another way to do this work. This is the cool one. So this is more of a literature-based work. But the other one is an experiment that we are doing, how to simulate a lab. So you could ask the same question and then start watching it how an AI would do it. You can even give that question or a protocol here to an AI and see if it can carries it out and if it reaches a point. So you see here is you start an agent, a virtual scientist in a virtual lab, start talking and thinking and carrying out the work and actually manipulating the world around it. And the world evolves and reacts to them. It does chemical analysis and uses different tools, not only literature review, but different tools and simulators to do the work. And this is one of the things that we are pushing and wanting to focus on, to enable people doing work and troubleshooting and simulating how that procedure works in real world by doing it in a virtual world. So you can identify and use different simulators to do that work. And as you see, step by step it goes through it. And when it's done, it comes and writes the threshold, like the protocol here. Yeah, so this is the new version. Go and use it. This is research version. Please double check whatever it comes out with and give us feedback as much as possible, how you use it, what you want to use it, which tools you need for actually building your next work, designing your experiments or prototyping. What data sets, what tools do you need to simulate it better for yourself? Thank you very much. Excited for the next steps.